evening. Happy New Year to everyone. At this time, we're going to go ahead and start the reorganization meeting. Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills annual reorganization meeting of the Township Council, January 2nd, 2024. Introduction, posting of notice. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 20th, 2023, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the Newark Star Ledger on December 26, 2023. At this time, I'd like to ask everybody to please stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Mr. Karifi? Here. Mr. Oh, hold on. It's a change. I was going to say Mr. DePiero. Mr. Karifi? Here. All right. Mr. McGrath? Here. Mr. Musella? Here. Mr. Neglia? Here. Ms. Hernandez? Here. Also in attendance are Mayor James Barbario, Business Administrator Jamie Cryan, Township Attorney Michael Lavery, and Municipal Clerk Colette Madden. We have a quorum. We can begin. We have the upcoming meetings, January 2nd, 2024, obviously, at 7 p.m. is our agenda meeting. And then January 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. is our regular meeting. Okay, now we're going to appointments. At this time, I'd like to accept nominations for Council President.
I'd like to make a nomination for Paul Karifi as Council President.
Okay, we have a nomination. Can I please have a second?
Yeah, I'll second. Matt?
Okay, so Mr. Neglia nominated Mr. Karifi, and it was seconded by Mr. McGrath. At this time, we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Musella?
I'm going to vote no, and I just want to read a really quick statement so the public understands why I'm doing that. I remain committed to always giving a voice on the Township Council to our often ignored residents and to do what is right for the Township. Sadly, last week, more than 1,000 of our constituents were ignored, talked down to, and dismissed as they passionately pleaded for their political leaders to act in the Township's best interest. To that end, I cannot vote for the same old to lead this body of government.
Thank you. Mr. Neglia?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a 4-1 vote. Mr. Karifi, congratulations. You are the Council President. That is a 2-year term.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I would like to take nominations for the Council Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Frank Neglia.
Okay, we have a nomination by Mr. McGrath.
Second.
Mr. Karifi seconded the nomination. Okay, I'll go ahead and go into roll call at this time. Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
And just so everybody knows, the way the roll call is called is in alphabetical order, and the Council President is called last. So at this particular time, again, we have a nomination by Mr. McGrath and a second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Musella?
No.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Neglia?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Okay, 4-1. Mr. Neglia, you're the Council President. Congratulations. That is a 2-year term. Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Council President Mr. Karifi so he can go ahead and make the appointments.
Before we get started, I just want to say congratulations to Judy and to Matt, and I look forward to working with you guys. Really do. Thank you. Okay, for committees and boards, for our Board of Election Council Liaison, Mr. Neglia. For Craftsman Farms Foundation, Mr. Musella. Emergency Services Council, be myself. Economic Development Advisory Committee, Mr. McGrath. Environmental Advisory Committee, Mrs. Hernandez. Also, we have some committee people for the Environmental Committee. So I'd like to appoint Pat Delafonte to the 3-year term. Jean Marie Embler to the 3-year term. Michelle Gaynor, 2-year term. Tamara Jolly, 1-year term. And Susan Lynn Pearson to the 1-year term. Finance Committee will be myself and Mr. Neglia. Fire Prevention Bureau will be myself. Historic Preservation Advisory Committee will be Mr. Musella. Knoll Country Club Advisory Committee will be myself. Library Board of Trustees will be Mr. Neglia. Morris County League of Municipalities, Mr. Musella. Municipal Government Transparency Committee, Mr. McGrath. And we have some member 1-year term for that. Will be John Beeler, David Kaplan, Raymond Santana, Chris Mazzarella, Robert Quinn. Our Open Space Committee, council member will be Mrs. Hernandez. Parsippany Area Chamber of Commerce, Mr. McGrath. Parsippany Child Daycare Center, Mrs. Hernandez. Planning Board, Mr. McGrath. Police Athletic League, Mr. Neglia. Recreation Advisory Committee, Mr. Neglia. Traffic Advisory Committee, Mrs. Hernandez. And then at this time, for Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Council President, under the
Yeah.
Recreation Advisory Committee, you had named Mr.
Oh,
Neglia,
yes,
and then we
excuse
just
me.
have 2
We
members
two,
there.
Yes, excuse me. We have Ricardo Bellastros and Jigger Shaw. Okay, now we'll be moving on to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The first one that'll be up for vote, your regular member, 4-year term. I'd like to nominate David Kaplan. Second.
Okay, we have a nomination by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Mr. Neglia. Roll call.
Mr. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. McGrath,
Yes.
Mr. Musella,
Yes.
Mr. Neglia,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, for the second regular 4-year term, Chris Mazzarella. Second.
Okay, a nomination of Chris Mazzarella made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Mr. Neglia. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath,
Yes.
Mr. Musella,
Yes.
Mr. Neglia,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay.
For first alternate to a 2-year term, I'd like to nominate Loretta Grignani. Second.
Nomination of Ms. Loretta Grignani by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Mr. Neglia. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath,
Yes.
Mr. Musella,
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the second alternate to a 2-year term, Mr. Santosh Petty. Second.
Nomination of Santosh Petty made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Mr. Neglia. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Madden, if you take it from here.
Absolutely. Resolutions are 2024-001, designation of official newspapers. Can I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, seconded by Mr. Musella. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
R 2024-002, designation of newspapers to receive notices. May I please have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, R 2024-003, authorizing the township assessor to take certain actions to prosecute and defend tax appeals. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, second.
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Hernandez.
I know.
Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. R 2024-004, granting fee exemptions in connection with permits for construction, zoning, engineering, fire prevention, health, parks, and forestry, and recreation departments. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, second. Come on, Mr.
Second.
Hernandez, we're doing so well.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay. R 2024-005, authorizing the township tax collector to charge a penalty on delinquent taxes, assessments, or other municipal liens or charges. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, second.
Second.
Second made by Mr. McGrath. Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Motion passes. R 2024-006, authorizing the township tax collector to charge interest on delinquent taxes, assessments, or other municipal liens or charges. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia. Second.
Second.
Second made by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call. Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Musella?
Yes.
Mr. Neglia?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Motion passes. R 2024-007, authorizing the appointment of special law enforcement officers. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia. Second.
Second.
Second made by Mr. McGrath. Thank you. Roll call. Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Musella?
Yes.
Mr. Neglia?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
R 2024-008, establish temporary budget appropriations for calendar year 2024. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia. Second.
Second.
Second made by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
R 2024-009, cash management plan. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia.
Second.
Second made by Ms. Hernandez. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. At this time, we're going to go ahead and enter the public hearing. May I please have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia.
Second.
Second made by Mr. McGrath. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
And Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, the floor is open to the public. You can speak on any matter. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Sir, could you please state your name?
Sure, Robert Cousin, longtime resident of town. I've been looking to get more involved, and I sent an email to... Taylor Swift, you know, there you go. All right, thank you. Sorry, Robert Cousin, longtime resident of the town, been looking to get a little more involved. Sent an email to the town council with my resume saying, you know, I was hoping to be considered for the zoning board, and I didn't hear back from anyone. I just wanted to know if that's the normal process I should go through, and what other channels I could go through to, you know, get more involved in the town. Thank you.
Okay, what was your name, sir?
Robert Cousin.
Okay, Robert, Mr. Cousin. So, the process generally is you did the right thing. You forward it to the council and you CC the clerk. They
Yep.
then review the credentials, and in the event that they decide they want or they think that you will fit for the position, they will go ahead and appoint you. If not, you will receive a letter from my office thanking you for applying.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add, maybe we can do an improved job of communicating with people that express interest of serving the town, so that way they don't get the wrong signal that we're not interested.
When did you send that?
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was when I had realized, though, that there were some vacancies coming up, so I wanted to, get on you guys' radar.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert. Any other member of the public? Okay, seeing no one, may I please have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, second.
I'll second.
Second made by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call. Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
And Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, may I please have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, seconded by Ms. Hernandez. Roll call. Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned, everybody. At this time, the regular agenda meeting is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. So we will see you then.
Yeah.
Council agenda, Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Township Council agenda meeting of January 2nd, 2024. Posting of notice, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 20th, 2023, where it has remained posted since that date. The legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the Newark Star Ledger on December 26, 2023. Please rise for the flag salute. Mrs. Hernandez, if you would lead us.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Hernandez,
Present.
Mr. McGrath,
Present.
Mr. Musella,
Present.
Mr. Neglia,
Here.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Also in attendance are Mayor James Barbario, Business Administrator Jamie Cryan, Township Attorney Michael Lavery, Township Clerk Colette Madden, Council President. You have a quorum. You may begin.
Okay, upcoming meetings, January 16th, 2024, 7 p.m., regular meeting. February 6th, 2024, 7 p.m., agenda meeting. Ordinances, second reading and public hearing, none. This time, entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second. We need a motion first.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, seconded by Mr. McGrath. Roll call.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. McGrath,
Yes.
Mr. Musella,
Yes.
Mr. Neglia,
Yes.
and Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
The floor is now open to the public. You have 5 minutes to speak. You can speak on any matter. Okay, seeing no one. Oh, go ahead, Bob. Come on up. Come on up, Bob.
Bob Venezia, Parsippany. In the rush to approve 7 pilots over the last 6 weeks, the mayor and the council have inflicted serious financial damage to Parsippany. The Campus Drive pilot alone forfeited about $46 million in conventional taxes over 30 years. So it's reasonable to project that all 7 pilots will deprive Parsippany of somewhere around $100 million in taxes over that same period. Plus, in the case of residential pilots such as Campus Drive, Parsippany will also run an additional annual operating cost deficit because the pilot payment that we receive does not cover the cost of providing municipal and especially educational services for the property. Tonight, let me try again to explain why residential pilots, and I'm not talking about the industrial ones, just the residential ones here, fail to achieve the revenue goals of the governing body. Using real data to re-examine the Campus Drive pilot should finally make it clear that A, there was no legitimate reason to ever grant this pilot, and B, Parsippany actually loses money every year this pilot is in effect. In order to justify the Campus Drive pilot, the mayor insisted that the project would not go forward without a pilot because of high construction costs and high mortgage rates. At the time these pilots were introduced in November, these reasons no longer applied. Construction costs were high during the pandemic, but not in 2023. For example, the average cost of lumber in 2023 is about the same as it was in 2018, which was before the pandemic. Furthermore, mortgage rates are not even a factor for a multi-billion-dollar company such as Avalon Bay. According to Morris County property records, Avalon Bay has not taken out a mortgage for property in Morris County since the 1990s. They either use cash or proceeds from stock offerings, or they issue corporate bonds to finance their projects. The rate on an A-rated corporate bond on December the 26th was 5.07 and is expected to go down further because of 3 Federal Reserve rate cuts projected for 2024. The ability to finance a project at rates at or below 5% hardly qualifies as a reason to need a pilot. The net result is that in the case of the Campus Drive pilot, Parsippany lost money on 2 fronts for no good reason at all. First, the township abated $46 million in conventional tax money up front, and second, it will incur additional millions in revenue losses because of insufficient annual pilot payments. The governing body granted the Campus Drive pilot with the expectation that the annual pilot payment would generate positive revenue from a currently vacant property. But when you factor in the cost of providing municipal and educational services, Parsippany actually experiences a net loss in revenue. Consider the financial numbers for year one of the Campus Drive pilot as extracted from the financial spreadsheet attachment to the pilot. Now, Mayor Barbaria, if you find any misrepresentations, please let me know and tell me, be specific and tell me where, what your information is. So I have the net pilot revenue from the sheet is a little, just a speck over $1 million. The municipal services expense from column 9 on that sheet was just about $700,000. The number of students, well, we have a little difference of opinion here. It's either 164 by the Board of Ed or somewhere between 80 to 100 per Mr. Handley, the financial advisor. The cost per student is $21,000, and that's the Board of Ed's number, that's the Mr. Reinhardt's number, and that's also the number that you get if you take the total property tax that goes to the schools and divide it by the number of students. So the total educational cost, and
30 seconds, sir.
What's that?
30 seconds.
Total educational cost is $21,000 times, and I'm using Henry's number, 100, so it's 2.1 million. So we have total municipal and educational cost is 1 million for the municipal, 2.1, its municipal expense was 700,000. And the educational cost 2.1 for a total of 2.8. So the net gain or loss is a loss of $1.8 million.
Time's up, Bob.
Okay. You missed the punchline, it's good. Yeah, we're losing money and,
Hey, Bob.
anyway, you got.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Bob. Bob.
Mr. Venezia, Bob.
Can you share that document you got there? Can I have that?
Can you share the document, if you bring it up to me, Bob? I'll take it.
Or you, Dan? Thank you.
He wants to read your punchline.
You don't need this back, Bob, right?
I don't need that back.
Can we just
Thank-
pass that over to Mr. McGrath, please? Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else like to come up? Okay, seeing no one?
Entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, seconded by Mr. McGrath. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Musella?
Yes.
Mr. Neglia?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Consent agenda, none. Approval of minutes, agenda meeting 12/5/23, regular meeting 12/19/23. Presentations, reports, Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. Gotta bring 2 sets of glasses up. This year, my resolution is to keep Parsippany on track. Last year was a time of difficult decisions regarding the township's budget. Difficult questions arose. Would Parsippany be the town that would take care of its fiscal house? Would Parsippany be able to remain a place where hard-working people could enjoy an excellent quality of life? And the answer is a resounding yes. Hard decisions had to be made, and the township was able to pivot from a potential crisis to recovery. We are now on a successful path of recuperation from past transgressions. I'm confident that the township will keep moving in a positive direction and that the residents will feel reassured that we are doing everything that we can to keep tax increases to a minimum while preserving the quality of services they have come to expect. Each year brings a clean slate for what we can accomplish. I am hopeful that this year we will surpass our accomplishments of the past year. Nothing is more important to me than our residents' well-being and satisfaction in their government. We should all feel good about the progress we've made since last year. 2024 will be no different. Our hard work will continue. Each year we welcome new residents and businesses to our community. They come to Parsippany for varied reasons, but the most important one is that we have a consistently ranked as one of the best places to live. I want to make sure that we maintain that prestigious honor. Nothing brings greater pleasure than keeping the pride in Parsippany and seeing that pride reflects back at me when the residents express their satisfaction in residing here. I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy new year and all the best in 2024. I want to wish Matt and Judy the very best this year, and I truly look forward to working with you. I wish you the very best, and, you know, we can agree to disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it gets hot and heated, you know, it can get very difficult, and I guess you've seen that, Judy, right? But that's okay. You know, you got to be battle-tested at times. That being said, I also sent down a letter to the State Senator Joseph Panaccio, Assemblyman Brian Bergen, and Assemblyman Jay Weber. As I stated at the last meeting at the PAL, and I'll just read a little bit about it, it has to do with the Bill A4, which is currently under consideration. I believe this is my duty to emphasize potential ramification of this legislation on our community. The primary purpose of this Bill A4 is to abolish the Council on Affordable Housing, a fundamental component of bipartisan legislation crafted in response to an out-of-control, expensive, and litigious court process following Mount Laurel II. While the intent may be to streamline affordable housing obligations, several aspects of this bill raise serious concerns that warrant consideration and evaluation. What I'm trying to say here is that you've heard everyone going on about the pilots, and the pilots don't increase the school-age population. It's affordable housing. In this round 4 that's coming, it's not going to be good for the township if this bill passes, because it speeds it up. And it puts the fair share housing and the developers in a good light, not townships like Parsippany and the surrounding towns in Morris County. So I sent this to them. Hopefully they can speak on behalf of our Parsippany and all of Legislative District 26, because this is going to fast track the affordable housing. And we already have 464 units that have to be carried over from round 3. So the developers will be looking at certain properties in Parsippany. As I said, we are going to probably be at 40% vacancy rate in the next coming year. And they're going to be eyeing up a lot of properties here in Parsippany if this speeds up as quick as as we're anticipating it's going to. And I mentioned it at the, at the last meeting when we were being screamed and yelled at, so nobody actually heard us, that, you look at properties like Wyndham Hotel, the Wyndham Corporation over there. And I know Jamie took a ride over there and saw 5 cars in the parking lot. 5 cars. That's about 20-something acres of land, I think, something like that. I could be off. And that's going to be prime for affordable housing if we don't start doing something here in the township. And I wish they didn't speed it up, but it seems like they're going full speed steam ahead, the Assembly and the Senate, with this bill. I don't know why they want to speed it up so fast, but it doesn't really help out towns like Parsippany and other towns in Morris County. And then you have other properties. Right now, I think there's about 40 tax appeals we're looking at right now for the township, and that's another loss for the township if we lose those tax appeals. And, once you lose the assessments, you just, like I said, the formula is you just take the rate, and that's the amount of revenue you'll be losing in the town. So we're trying to find ways to avoid this affordable housing. I'm an affordable housing administrator, certified, but I can tell you this much, it's going to be very difficult to do, especially when the courts are involved. And I think it's Judge Jacobson is the judge that's going to decide over this, and there's going to be special masters. And when those special masters come into your town, only thing they really care about is what the law is. They don't look at the area. They don't look at how. And Janice, you've been part of that, and Judy knows when she was on the planning board. Once a special master gets involved, it's like whatever they say goes, and that's what you have to go by. So I don't like this bill because it takes control out of away from the townships and towns and the surrounding area, and it's just not a good bill. And hopefully they can, stall it or whatever, because it's not going to be good for Parsippany round 4. So thank you.
Thank you. Township Council? The council members have?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to introduce an ordinance of the Township Council of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, repealing ordinances 2023:37, 2023:38, and 2023:39. And those specific ordinances are the three pilots that we had passed at the last Thursday council meeting.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I will second that
Okay.
because of the, do I need to explain why?
You can in
Or
a
do I-
second because we're going to go into
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
So what we'll do is right now we have an ordinance made by Mr. Musella, who wants to introduce an ordinance repealing ordinance number 2023, 37, 38, and 39. Motion was made by Mr. Musella, seconded by Ms. Hernandez. Prior to us going into roll call, we'll go ahead and go into discussion.
Sure. So since I made the motion, I would want to explain to the public why I'm doing this. The governing body, and I've obtained a legal opinion, has advised me that we have a 20-day estoppel period when an old council departs and a new council is incoming, and we have the general authority to repeal what was handcuffed to us by lame duck council members for 30 years. And I think it's imperative that we go back to the drawing board and we come up with a process that works for everyone, that works for the Board of Ed, that works for all of the people that are going to be impacted by these pilots, because the process that we saw on Thursday was indefensible and it should never happen again in this town.
Well, I have to disagree with you, Justin. I think that the pilots are the way to go, and to keep funding coming into the town. And based on the education I got on pilots or taxes don't pay the school board. The town pays the school board. The school board sends us a bill, whether it's for their budget, for debt services, for anything, and we, the town, pay the school board. The funding we get from pilots and from taxes are what helps pay that. So if a corporation builds a building, 63% of that doesn't automatically get handed over to the school board. The funding that gets handed over to the school board is based on their budget. And when that school board sends the town a bill, we pay it. I think pilots are going to help in a way where we'll have extra funding, and the mayor, at his discretion, can give the school board more than their 2% cap, which they can, at their discretion, utilize for things that they possibly would need for the students. So I think the pilots are the way to go. They do not take away from anyone. As I said, the school board gets paid from the town. The town gives the school board, the school board gives the town a bill, the town pays it. That's my understanding. So regardless of where the town gets the money, it doesn't affect the school board. The school board still gets their money.
Well, Councilman Neglia, I would believe you if the Board of Education believed you. And they made it extremely clear at last Thursday's meeting that no negotiations transpired in them getting a single dollar out of these pilots. And number two, the time to have given the Board of Ed their share of the revenue from these pilots would have been during the negotiation process. So my approach here is we can go back to the drawing board. Let's come up with new agreements. We learned a lot of data during this process that can significantly make these better for the township. We learned that they don't have to be 30 years, that they can be as short as 5 years. We learned that there are ways to bake into these agreements revenue for the Board of Ed, so we don't have to rely on the discretion, no offense to the mayor, of whoever the mayor is, because there will be a point in time when we're all not here, and there might be a future administration that for whatever reason cannot give at their discretion money to the Board of Education. So I say that we have a process that's not rushed, that's fact and data driven, and we can come up with better agreements that work for everyone.
Well, this process wasn't rushed. I believe it was originally, this process wasn't rushed. I believe it was introduced back in April, and the entire council voted on it, in favor of it, including yourself. And, you know, moving forward, we all understood what that meant. And the people that you refer to as the board members, the council members that are no longer here, were very educated on it, and I think they made a wise decision. So I'd have to disagree with that assessment as well.
Well, I think when you vote for, and let's dispel with this notion that because you voted for a redevelopment plan, you were giving blanket support to a pilot. That's false. When you vote for a redevelopment plan, which is why I voted for it, it gives the municipality and the redeveloper expanded options on repurposing these buildings. A pilot is one of many tools that a developer can utilize. And had I known that every single redevelopment plan was a beard for a pilot, I would have voted no. But I voted yes because I thought it was important for us to creatively explore what the best use case for these properties would be. And I think 1,000 people would disagree that this was a process that wasn't rushed. They came out begging for more time, and that for a new council to come in and to weigh in, which is exactly what I think we should do.
Can I weigh in?
Go ahead.
I agree with what Justin is saying. I agree with what everybody's saying for the best of Parsippany, and taking the schools out of it, because, and it's very important about the schools and what they get. 65% of our taxes the residents pay or to the school board, and they're always in need. But pilots were not made for what we're using them for, and I'm afraid to see that this is a precedent going forward with 7 properties. And then you're talking about the Wyndham property. It's a hot real estate market I thought we had, so why are we giving 30 years and all these benefits to the developers that have a lot? They don't need more gifts. And I would think the people in Parsippany showed, and that's also the other concern, that they want more information on this process, and they came out in droves. We had a 5-hour meeting, we had a 6-hour meeting, and I think we owe it to the residents to do our due diligence and be transparent when this is going to affect everyone.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is, it's not categorically no to all pilots. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to establish a process and have a standard in place whereby we can evaluate, along with the public's buy-in and the school board's input, what pilots are good for the town and what pilots are not good for the town. And I think the events of the last 30 days show that nobody thought these pilots were truly in their own best interests. So going back to the drawing board is not saying there will be no pilots, but it is saying let's come up with agreements that are better for the township, that we can have public hearings on, and that are fact-driven.
I'd like to say a few words. Am I a big proponent of pilots? No. But I felt, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, these pilots were a good thing at this time. We had plenty of members from the Board of Ed come up and state about how this is going to increase the population at our schools. Do I want that? No, not at all. And that's one of the reasons that I think these pilots, half of these pilots are for, one's for a gym, 2 are for warehouses, no school children. Those things come off the map. I know that the mayor met with the current Board of Ed president in discussion in reference to sharing some of that money with the Board of Ed. I don't know if some of the incoming Board of Ed members were privy to that information. Was there an actual agreement put in writing? I don't believe there was, but there was correspondence between the two. I don't want to see the Board of Ed get hurt at all on any of this, but at the time, I don't think you can come up with an actual standard because every situation is different. And at the time, right now, for instance, one of the pilots that the person's getting, actually 2 of them for the warehouses, is the developers have said, and now you understand that the next round of affordable housing, there's politicians out there that are trying to push this. Instead of 2025, they want it coming right now, okay? These vacant properties are going to be on the map when they go to look for affordable housing. And if these developers are willing to say, okay, there's negotiations. If we get a pilot, We're going to build a warehouse. No school children. You're getting a stream of revenue coming in. Right now, there's buildings being knocked down throughout the town because these people don't want to pay taxes on these abandoned buildings. So they're knocking them down to just have to pay the land tax. If those lots stay vacant for the next 3-4 years, we're not going to collect hardly anything compared to what we would be collecting. For instance, the one pilot location, that developer has agreed to continue to pay their share of taxes that they currently are paying. If they didn't get the pilot, that building, they were going to knock it down. The revenue would go from $170,000, which they agreed to continue to pay throughout the time their building was knocked down, their new building was built, and then they would go up to $275,000 the first year of the payment for the pilot. If that building gets knocked down, our tax assessor said they'll pay about $45,000. And if that building stays vacant for, let's say, 3-4 years, and then they come in and want to build an apartment building, that's 3-4 years worth of $45,000 a year versus $275,000. Okay? The other thing, the misperception that is out there is that pilot payment is a set number for the first 10 years, then a set number for the second 10 years, etc. It was brought up by the one developer, and for the gym, for every sports drink that's sold at the gym, that's revenue for the gym. We get a percentage of the revenue. So the more sports drinks they sell, the more money the town gets. So the better that these businesses do, the more revenue the town gets. It's not a set number. It was brought up about, and I know I've been researching a lot of this stuff, why a 30-year pilot versus a 5-year pilot. Well, one of the reasons is the lenders. It's just like when people go for a mortgage. Do people get a 5-year mortgage? No, they don't get a 5-year mortgage unless you're getting an adjustable and you're not planning on staying in that house. But if you're somebody to get a mortgage, most mortgages are 30-year mortgages. Lenders are not going to, who wants to buy a house and say, I'll take a 5-year mortgage? Most people can't repay their full mortgage in 5 years. They need the time to pay it back. So, these are the other things. And I know it was discussed, somebody said, well, what happens if the gym goes out of business? Okay, then what do we do? If they were paying conventional taxes, okay, what are they going to do? They're going to be vacant building, they're going to go for a tax appeal, they're going to get a tax appeal, and we're going to have to refund all that money that they would normally be paying. With the pilot, the one agreement there is, I believe the number is $2.50 per square foot that we automatically would get from them if they go out of it. Is that correct, man? About $2.50?
Yeah, that's $2.50.
At 100,000 square feet. So that's $250,000 that we would still get. The town would still get that. If that gym, let's say people were bringing up, what happens if the gym goes under in 7 years? Then what? Well, then the owner of that building is going to go in for a tax appeal, and he's going to say, my building's vacant. I want a major reduction in my taxes, which would be now drop it down below that. At least we're guaranteed that money. And again, the pilot, it's not, everyone thinks it's a set amount. It's not, because the better the gym does, as the rents for an apartment building, as those rents go up, our money, our revenue, the pilot money that we get goes up. For every time they raise their rents, we get a piece of that. So the money does. I get what you're saying, Bob, but one of the benefits to me was, and I'm thinking of the Board of Ed, do I want an influx of all these students? If we can fill these places up, there's some give and take. I don't want the schools to get crushed by somebody coming in and going, well, guess what? You have 17 vacant buildings. So we're going to give you a new number now of the next round of affordable housing of 1,000 units, which means Builder's Remedy, they get to build 4 regular units for every 1,000 of affordable, which means Parsippany would get 5,000 more apartments. So if we can fill these up with businesses, we don't have the vacant spot. When they come in, they're going to look at Parsippany and go, well, now there's only 10 vacant buildings instead of 17. So those are the things. And if people could just take a few minutes to study the figures, I think you would see that. Again, I'm not in favor of all pilots. We could get a bunch more come in, and I might be the first one to say no. But I just think right now, let's evaluate and see how they do.
I think just in response to that, right, the first thing you had mentioned is we don't have, you're not aware of a practice in place to determine which business should receive a pilot and which it doesn't. There actually is, and I'll hold this up and I'll provide it to our town clerk. From Matt Baxter, the former state comptroller, came up with a handbook for municipalities that it laid out a specific set of policies and procedures on how the municipality can award a pilot. And it's a lengthy process that engages a lot of different community stakeholders. It engages the town council, it engages the boards of ed. It requires proof that these deals don't pencil, quote unquote, without some government assistance. And I think it's something that we should have followed, because this is a solid strategy on how we can award pilots and how we can deny pilots that are not in the municipality's best interests. And I think that if somebody cannot make a deal to work, just like a homeowner who can't get a mortgage, well, they wouldn't come to the town council and expect the town council to find something that would work for them. And we have to apply a standard to developers as well. So I think that this process should be redone, and I think that we should engage the people that feel like they were left out from the get-go. Because maybe what you're saying is right, and you do bring up a lot of good points, and I don't disagree with you, and I don't disagree with what the mayor has said. This is a big problem for Parsippany, but it's the process that we followed that should never have happened in the first place, that feels like to the taxpayers and all the other gyms in town, warehouses in town, and apartment owners in town, that it's a slap in face to them, because they pay the standard rate and will continue to pay the standard rate, and you have new businesses that won't be.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, again, as stated earlier, we have a motion made by Mr. Musella, seconded by Ms. Hernandez, for an ordinance rescinding 2023, 37, 38, and 39. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and go into roll call. Ms. Hernandez?
Wait, so
So-
we're rescinding, so I say.
So you would say,
Yes.
if you're rescinding, yes, it would be yes.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. McGrath?
So I'm going to abstain because I just got handed this document about 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
I have no clue what any of these ordinances are or how we're kind of voting against it, so I'll abstain.
Not a problem, Mr. McGrath. So Mr. McGrath is an abstention. Mr. Musella?
Yes.
Mr. Neglia?
No.
And Mr. Karifi?
No.
Okay, so, the motion is, 2 yes and, 2 no, and 1 abstention. In general, the abstention counts as a no vote, so the motion fails.
Abstention, you said, is a no vote, so we're going to carry.
Abstention is a no vote,
Negative vote.
so it fails.
Negative.
Oh, it fails, okay.
Yeah. So the motion fails.
Township Attorney,
No report this evening, Council President.
Business Administrator, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Council President, and congratulations, Council President. Congratulations to Council Vice President Negley as well, and to, and welcome to our council members Hernandez and McGrath. This is, public service is a great career. Your voice is welcomed and necessary and appreciated. There's going to be times like, you know, you may have just witnessed where things get a little tough, or your opinion may be looked at by a room full of people as you know, you have a different opinion than they do. But that's not necessarily to say that you have a different opinion than 50,000 plus residents that you're serving. So please, don't quit. Stay, do your absolute best, and you are appreciated being up here. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Councilman DePiero and Councilwoman Grignani. I didn't have that opportunity at the last meeting, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do it publicly. One of the most important things in public service is experience. And your experience and your years of service, it's a lot of times it's all for naught. You get yelled at, and people don't appreciate what you're doing at the time that you're doing it. But over 40 years and over 8 years and over your careers, you two have done such incredible things for this town. In my first year here in Parsippany, it was a complete honor to serve with you and for you as we help the residents. And I truly appreciate the service that you both did. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Township Clerk, Mr. Madden.
No report at this time, Council President. Thank you.
Township Offices, Committees, Reports. Mr. McGrath.
Call read for Economic Development. The Parsippany-Troy Hills Economic Development Committee welcomed Miller's Ale House, located at 1721 Route 10 East, on Tuesday, December 26th, with a ribbon-cutting celebration. Economic Development will extend its congratulations and perform the ribbon-cutting ceremony at the grand opening of Greenspan Eye Care, its new location situated at 1055 Parsippany Boulevard. Please join us for this celebration on Wednesday, January 3rd at 1:15 p.m., and we warmly invite the public to attend. Economic Development Team will extend their congratulations and officially inaugurate the new business Vital Aesthetics New Jersey, located at 1116 Route 46 West. Join us for the celebration on Saturday, January 13th at 10 a.m., and please feel welcome. It's open to the public as well. The next meeting for Economic Development Committee is Wednesday, January 3rd at 6:30 at 90 East Halsey Road, 3rd floor conference room. Public is also invited. Please RSVP with Frank Cahill at 973-559-6000.
Thank you. Correspondence? None. Ordinances, first reading. Please take a look at that. All council members, if you have any questions? Okay, non-consent agenda, none. Applications for licenses and permits, none. Approval of payroll and bills list, none. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Neglia, seconded by Mr. Musella. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Mr. Musella.
Yes.
Mr. Neglia.
Yes.
And Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I don't think